One. Spags, they say there's only one way to draft a best ball team, but around here, we keep coming up with innovative ways for how to draft.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there doing best ball streams now, and we're glad to see it. But we're going to go and pivot from that because Pete's breaking out not the randomizer wheel, I guess the off-brand randomizer wheel for today's show. We're going to spin the wheel, draft according to the strategy there. We also got some OTA news. Travis Etienne, the new Deebo Samuel. We'll talk about it after this intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Splash Play, the fantasy football podcast for every game under the sun. And once again, I'm Chris Spags, joined by your friend of mine, Pete Overzet. Pete, how are you doing?
I am doing good. I finally got that best ball video I had been working on forever up this morning, so that felt really good to ship. It took an ungodly amount of time to finish that video, as people remember from me teasing it for like 2.5 weeks. So feeling that weight off my shoulder today.
It's a great video. Go check it out on Pete's Deposit Kingdom channel, breaking down the expected value of Best Ball Mania 3 and why, if you're just trying to get into the advanced rounds there, trying to get in around 15, round 16, you should be targeting, or week 17 rather. That's the important one that we talk a lot about on this show. Pete mentions the week 17 correlations, but I actually did watch that video, Pete. Actually, I will tell you the full facts. So I watched a little bit of ship chasing yesterday. Was happy to see Leone on there. I then watched your 2 Deposit Kingdom videos today. I had watched the best ball strategy video before, but I was like, I'm going to get ready for this randomizer wheel thing with Pete and get your strategies in line. And I have to say, like, even for somebody like me who is now, I think, 120 entries into this best ball season, I do feel like it's helpful as a refresher for people out there to go check those videos out, because you really do explain the expected value stuff in particular extremely well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like the thing that makes me feel good about it is people who are sharp and who are grinders and kind of already know this stuff seem to still enjoy it, or, as a reinforcer, kind of as you mentioned. And then, but that new people could kind of understand the concepts is cool too. I saw someone was like, oh yeah, I'm going to play my first best ball tournament because of that video, which I would consider that, we're pretty deep in the weeds as far as optimizing for this tournament. I wouldn't expect the casual fan to necessarily care about that stuff. So the fact that it can kind of toe the line there and be, enjoyable for both sides there is good.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend, obviously, Pete, been doing the best ball stuff for years. As somebody, this is the first time I'm maxing out some of these best ball tournaments. Really can't recommend it enough. A lot of fun out there. I know Dricko talked a lot about giving me some strategy. And Michael Dubner, Pete has a lot of great data from him over at Rotoviz. The Rotoviz guys in general, very sharp, but also just a lot of smart people out there. Mike Leone established the edge I was listening to before the show. So just go check some of that stuff out if you are new to best ball, to try to catch yourself up to speed. And of course, we'll do the best we can on this show in between all the hijinks. And of course, make sure you are liking this video, whether it be on Pete's channel or the Splash Play channel, and subscribe to both as well, because tomorrow, 2:30, Pete, I actually have another monitor over here. I don't know if I could pull it up and show it on camera without it breaking, but you can see here, I've figured out how to size screens appropriately. I have another thing here to look at. I'm ready for my stream tomorrow before it inevitably screws up somehow.
I did see your post in the Splash Play channel in the Deposit Kingdom Discord showing your correctly sized browser window during your test thing. I think everyone was both happy for you and sad, because I think part of the appeal for tuning into your stream tomorrow, in addition to watching you cancel yourself, was to watch you fumble around with the screen sizing. So one mystery has been removed, but I'm sure you won't disappoint on the canceled front.
Actually, Pete, do you want to go pull up the Splash Play YouTube channel really fast? Because I think you're going to enjoy the thumbnail I've also deployed. Pete and I were talking a little bit. The reason we started the show a little late today, Pete and I talked some industry things, some things going on out there that amused us that aren't worth talking about on the show. But one thing that I've noted, I have been digging deep on YouTube thumbnails, like watching half-hour videos for it. And you can see here my thumbnail. Who is that mystery QB, Pete? We'll find out tomorrow at 2:30.
No, this is a good thumbnail. I actually like it. I always do the, I like looking at it on my phone or stepping back so I can see, what does it look like in smaller, but the pixelated, draws me in there a good bit. I would say the text is a little hard to read on the draft board backdrop would probably be my only, criticism, but, I think you're off to a good start here.
Look, it's an iterative process, Pete. It's an improvement from when I was doing the Splash Play thumbnails many moons ago. Is that Lisa Ann Blurred Bullock? Are we bonking already? Is that a bonk?
Well, I am going to do a bonk here, but not because of that. So I actually flagged this, and I didn't even tell you about this before the show. And I don't think you saw it because I'm sure you would have replied to it on Twitter if you did. But our friend Mathology, we launched the Underdog Cardio Club earlier this week. Something I did in conjunction with Redmond and over there. Basically, if you post your BBM3 streams while doing cardio, you post a screenshot of your cardio, yada yada. You can get a shirt, other perks. Most of you have seen it. Well, I was just scrolling through the hashtag because that's part of helping us find those, and noticed a post from Mathology here that, let's just say, was all horned up and not our standard post here for the Underdog Cardio Club. So we have the team, and then this pose from his instructor, which wasn't really the spirit of, we were kind of looking for the data, which I guess is over here. But I know exactly what you were doing with this Mathology, and on all of our behalf,
I hate that I always have to pay the price for the bonking, but I get it. The issue though, if he's going to go with anybody, Jess King would be the one to go with if you are going to have a saucy Peloton instructor on your screenshot. I think we all know that.
The thing that just killed me about it is, Mathology was just waiting for the perfect time to snap this photo. I just like, he knew exactly what he was doing.
I mean, look, she looks like she's really motivating there, pushing you through your power zones. That's what we're all about here on Splash Play. And go check out the Underdog Cardio Club, of course. And feel free to tag me in those. I'm actually getting tagged in a lot of them, Pete, because of my pushback about how weightlifters should be included, especially in 2022. Just feels very divisive to tear us apart.
Actually,
like this.
I had a thought about this when I saw you get tagged in one of those. It's like, come on, Spags, you think I'm not weightlifting? These aren't mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean that just because you weightlift doesn't mean you have a part. You need to be mixing in both cardio and weightlifting, Spags. So don't try to make this a one or the other thing.
Not if you have an Apple Watch and you can time it out 60 seconds. Every 60 seconds, you're back to your lift. That gets the heart rate going, and I can tell you with science.
Some of these chats I am not going to put up on the screen here. But yes, the Underdog Cardio Club is it's ramping up. People seem to really be enjoying it. I think we're gonna have a lot of members here at the end of June.
My cardio is also, by the way, people saying I'm a zero cardio bro. I do play basketball. That's why I got the basketball hoops to do that. So that's my cardio. But another thing that doesn't count, because the basketball hoop's not going to tell me how many calories I burned.
Yeah, I still have I've started doing some of my smartwatch research, so hopefully I can join the smartwatch gang here soon enough.
So let's get into some of the news that we have going on here. Of course, OTAs going on, but the big news I thought that was pretty interesting: Ryan Fitzpatrick retiring at age 39. I thought a tweet from the Fantasy Life, Don / you're really one of the guys in fantasy that you just have to tip your cap to, who we've had on the show before, Matthew Barry, tweeting in 2005, Ryan Fitzpatrick made his debut and Tom Brady led the league in passing. Fitzy retires after the 2021 season, where Tom Brady led the league in passing once again, showing the circle of life. But I feel like we wouldn't be doing our job, Pete, when these guys retire and they are fantasy legends, fantasy icons to some extent. You got to kind of pay your dues. And Fitzpatrick, to me, is one of those guys where he aligns with two different parts of my life, where when I was doing the sports blog stuff, Ryan Fitzpatrick was the guy with the big burly beard who was making for a lot of fun clickbait type headlines. And then in fantasy, like, he's the type of guy that I love, that I gravitate towards a lot to on this show, just all deep balls, running, reckless, abandoned, high pick rate. But that's the fun of it when you are having a fantasy QB. So I'm sad to see him go, Pete. I actually had way too much of him in my best ball shares last year.
Yeah, he had all the ingredients of being kind of a cult hero, specifically within the fantasy community. Just the way he played, which was really aggressive, always moving the ball downfield. He was always in play for, like you said, last pick in your best ball draft, a punt QB in DFS, just because he was going to be aggressive. And I know in season, we often talk about the backup QB archetypes and how there's like the one that come in and just want to game manage and they want to play really conservative. And then there's the Ryan Fitzpatrick types, which are extremely fun for fantasy, that just come in complete YOLO. Yes, it might result in a lot of turnovers. Yes, it might result in you getting hurt, but boy, are you at least going to make it entertaining. And I feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick always made it entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely did. And people saying, Iceman in the chat, if Fitzpatrick played last year, I would have won BBM too. That's probably how I felt. Terry McLaurin would be $100 million receiver right now if Ryan Fitzpatrick played last year. Unfortunately, that's not the case for him, but definitely got to give your shout out to him, a guy who I think very ahead of his time. And if he came into the league right now, people would be so stoked and be adding him left and right, and he would become like a buzzworthy character in so many ways. So, bad timing for Ryan Fitzpatrick, but a hell of a career. Travis Etienne, Pete, working out of the slot, catching lots of passes and OTAs. The quote that I saw in the Fantasy Life newsletter that Pete lovingly puts together just for me to do show prep every day. Football is all about matchups. If I could be like Deebo Samuel, I would love that, Etienne said. Etienne, 102 receptions for 1155 yards and 8 touchdowns when he was at Clemson. And he's been working out of the slot, Pete. Etienne, we've taken as our anchor running back at some of the builds we've done on this show. And I'm stoked to hear it, man. I think he could be this hybrid back, and probably bad news for Laviska Shenault, but you got to pay a sacrifice somewhere, Pete, and that is to the altar of Travis Etienne.
You don't have to say bad news for Laviska Shenault. There's no such thing as good news for Laviska Shenault, so it's just news. It's just more news that pushes Laviska further down the depth chart. I never really thought about that, how, one of our, parts of our relationship as working on this podcast together is you end up doing a lot of the show prep, getting the topics in order. But now I just realized you just open up my newsletter where I actually have to do all the work, and then you steal that. So the scales might now be tipping, Spags, because I'm doing the thumbnails, I'm doing all this research prep, and now it's like, what the fuck are you even doing around here?
I'm just showing up, being great for morale, getting bonked by dogs. That's sort of the thing I bring to the table. But I know it's honestly really more that the Fantasy Life newsletter. Like, I do usually do show prep. I'll when I have time, I'll read the Athletic and stuff. But time's been a little bit scarce for me lately with the baby, with the job responsibilities kind of creeping up. So I just read the Fantasy Life newsletter, and I know you have to fill that somehow. And usually that's with the 5 best tidbits that are out there.
That's right. It is right. I definitely recommend. I assume most of you guys subscribe to it, but we have really overhauled things there in the past couple of weeks. We have a new system, new layout, lots more contributors. We're going to be moving to 5 days a week here soon as the summer ramps up. I was super stoked. We got to deal with Underdog too, which gives me lots of permission to do more best ball content. So yeah, hop over there. I have the link down below to subscribe. Free newsletter written by me and a bunch of contributors. I think you'd enjoy it.
Willis pointing out, instead of doing prep, I'm doing best ball drafts. In a lot of ways, that's the best prep you could do for this kind of stream, I would say. The ETN things overall, Pete, though, does he move up for you at this point? I feel like he's probably about as high as he's going to get, right? He can't get steamed up any higher.
I think he can get steamed up a little bit. To me, like I said, the Debo quote is fun. It definitely gets the juices flowing. I mean, my takeaway on it was this is just really good confirmation that they want to use him in the passing game, which we kind of knew was going to be the case when he came into the league. He was a good pass catcher at Clemson. It's kind of why we got excited for him with fantasy. So I find his price to be very palatable in the mid-5th. I could see him creeping up into like the mid to late 4th if we continue to get really positive buzz. But I do agree with you that he's ultimately going to probably be tapped out there, because I'm just guessing the fantasy community still doesn't think of him as someone who has like true 3-down bell cow upside. But I would argue that that's kind of a narrow viewpoint on him, knowing when we've seen some of these guys like Kamara, like DeAndre Swift, who, as long as the majority of their production is through the passing game, if we can just add in a few other high value touches around the goal line, then you're just as valuable, or, on par with some of the true, 3-down backs. So I think ETN has that profile. It would not surprise me at all if ETN is like a 1-2 turn pick next year.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take, and certainly a guy I'm intrigued to see on the field after he missed last year, and certainly the injury to James Robinson coming off the Achilles is going to increase the runway for Travis Etienne to get going, especially in these OTAs. Michael Carter gave a quote saying there's enough for all of us to eat in response to his and Breece Hall's roles as Jets run back. That's the kind of thing I want to hear, Pete, as somebody that's deeply overinvested in Michael Carter. It will continue to be as long as his ADP drops, but I feel like to me it's just been clear cut since we did that ship chasing draft show. Like, Michael Carter's a pass catching back. Breece Hall will catch some passes, but he's the Jonathan Taylor. Maybe Michael Carter ends up more of a Naheem Hines and ends up off the field a little bit more, but he showed enough last year that I feel like he's still a 10 to 15 touch back. And for me, that's probably enough in this offense. Yeah,
that quote was funny too, because it's like, of course, Michael Carter is going to say there's plenty of mouths to feed. It's like, let's ask Breece Hall. It's be like asking I'm going to botch this analogy. I was trying to come up with an analogy on my feed. I was like, to be like asking an ex-wife about the new girlfriend and how much attention they're going to get. But I can't land the plane on this one without getting bonked, maybe. But yeah, I know you have drafted a lot of Michael Carter. I still like Michael Carter too. I think he's going to catch some balls and just be a huge contingent running back play if Breece Hall were to get injured, or maybe Breece Hall's not good. Like, I don't hope that's the case considering I've drafted a lot of him, but it's possible. And we've seen a lot of times with these running backs come in and it's just like, they're not ready or the team doesn't trust them for some reason. And then the incumbent plays a ton. So I still like getting shares of Michael Carter.
Yeah, I'm glad you say that because I will continue to do it really until every last dollar of mine is spent. But I just think lower ADP back always going to be something that is going to make sense. The other news item I thought was interesting that you had, Pete, but I'll defer to you if there are any others. Austin Hooper been the apple of Ryan Tannehill's eyes so far. Titans OTAs, which I think is something that I might have discussed with you on the show, where I've just been taking him a lot in that 17th, 18th round in my Ryan Tannehill bailout stacks when I get sniped and all the other QBs out there. I feel like Austin Hooper, kind of solid veteran guy who, demographically, probably Ryan Tannehill is stoked to get to hang out with a similarly washed up player who's just hanging on to the league by a thread. But I feel like overall, like Austin Hooper with Treylon Burks sidelined at least a little bit, not a full go yet in OTAs to start. It feels like Austin Hooper probably should be getting drafted a little bit higher, or at least reflected as a part of this offense more meaningfully.
Yeah, I mean, stuff is wide open there. There's just so much uncertainty with AJ Brown gone. I mean, yes, we're all excited about Treylon Burks, but he's a rookie. There's lots of uncertainty there. Robert Woods coming back from injury. How does he fit into this offense? Austin Hooper new. So you could see things shaking out in a variety of ways, but what's our phrase? The steady drumbeat. I continue to hear stuff about Austin Hooper. He's not a sexy pick, but I definitely want to start mixing him in as you grab Treylon Burks in the 6th or 7th. Maybe you grab Ryan Tannehill as in your punt QB build, and then tack on Austin Hooper late because he is still super cheap.
Yeah, Bullock summing it up well. Don't have the confidence to throw it outside. So here, big target over the middle, take the ball. That is certainly a pathway for value that a lot of guys have had in the past, and certainly could be Austin Hooper's case after a down year last year for both the Tennessee Titans tight ends as well as Austin Hooper in Cleveland. Anything else, Pete, you want to hit on, or do you want to dive into our spinning the wheel here to make the deal in an underdog puppy draft?
Yeah, let's dive into it. So this isn't going to be a true randomizer. We're not randomizing for every pick. God help us. Randomizer is officially going to kick off a week from today on Thursday evening. I'll have more details on that, but I thought we could get warmed up here. I was kind of thinking 2 wheels. So this first wheel to dictate if we're going to do a 0 RB, hyperfragile RB, and anchor RB draft. Also, I feel obligated to point out, I give Spags a hard time about going into drafts with a preconceived way to draft, which is exactly what we're going to do here. This is just for fun. And I think will give us some fun challenges. And then I was thinking we could have a second wheel that gave us another kind of thing we had to do, whether that was elite QB, elite tight end. Chat, if you guys have any other things you'd like to see on that secondary wheel, put it in the chat. But does this all make sense here, Spags?
Yeah, I think so, though. Derek Richard in the chat bringing up a good point. No robust RB option. You took out the superhero RBs, the robust RBs. Where are we for all the second tier classifications?
What if we... So the thing that I actually think will be fun with this is that I think we're still allowed to bend these, right? So if we say anchor running back and we want to still grab a wide receiver in the first and then grab, say, Swift as our anchor running back in the second, or even, J.K. Dobbins as our anchor running back in the 4th or something. I think we can bend these. The reason I didn't put robust RB on there is because I only put good strategies. And I thought we still ultimately wanted to draft a good team.
Terrence bringing up a good point in the chat. If you're locking yourself in, you might want to do a mock draft, or you're burning money with such a large audience. Pete, I think we're willing to burn the $5 here for the sake of entertainment.
Yeah. One, not worried about $5. 2, like I said, we're still the goal. We're not punting this off.
Like that's the hope.
If you want to worry about punting money off, it's me and Spags trying to get in the same draft at the same time, ending up in runoff drafts, getting auto drafted 4 QBs. That's where you should be concerned. We are going to draft a good team here. Do not worry. So I'm going to go ahead and spin this. Let's get the first leg of our challenge here. I know what Spags is rooting for, but he's not going to get it. He's not going to get it.
The worst.
He's not going to get it. But again, this ultimately, to me, how I define this for our purposes, isn't when we take them, it's just the amount. So when I see hyper fragile, we're max 4 running back. So obviously the best way to do that is with those 3 relatively early, but they don't necessarily have to be. I think we can push it a little bit. So let me put some other things on the board here. So elite tight end, elite QB. Is there anything else you would want me to put on here?
Mathology had onslaught as an option, which I think is fair. I mean, I feel like I do that an okay amount. I don't know what that would qualify as an onslaught. I guess 5-man stack.
Why don't we do
QB
QB
plus
with
3. Yeah.
plus it with at least 3 teammates, and that
Yeah.
could be running backs, wide receivers, or tight ends.
I think just make a QB plus 3. I feel like it's hard to see it on the wheel now because
That's a good one too. 3 QBs late, so that would be a punt QB.
Let's see. No, no, this is too randomized. We say no player with more than 5 vowels in their name.
No. We're keeping it structural. I'm spinning. So we got a hyper fragile team, and the second thing we are going to be doing. Oh, this will actually be helpful. All right. So 3 QBs late, hyper fragile. So running backs early, QBs late, wide receivers and tight ends in between. All right.
Historical Anomaly saying Spags take a drink needs to be on the wheel. As I mentioned in the chat, I'm having a White Claw today because we are out of Diet Coke in the house. I need something here. Life is catching up when you wake up at 6 o'clock every morning.
Just own up to drinking. Don't try to act like I didn't have a Diet Coke, so I had to drink alcohol. Have you ever heard of fucking water, Spags?
No, I want something fizzy. I've already drank the fucking 3 of these.
I mean, that is just, sorry, officer. I didn't have my Diet Coke, so I was having to drink White Claws.
No, we know there's no cops in the chat. No narcs in the chat, any of you.
No, but there is Naked HD in the chat. Gosh.
Well, I guess they're saying no whores. So I feel like that could be kind of coppish.
All right, I'm entering the puppy.
All right, puppy time here. Of course, the puppy, you can play along with us over on Underdog. If you use the promo code SPLASH, double your deposit up to $100. Lots of fun being had over there. Of course, Pete and I both doing some streams for ourselves on this show. Pete's got a lot of great content for himself doing these streams on Underdog. So go play along with us on there and maybe get some of that sweet streamer EV that we hear about far too often in these streets.
All right, so we do get 104, which is, this will be interesting because I think for a hyper fragile build, if we get CMC or JT at one of these picks, I think we definitely do it. However, I think you and I will both be very excited to take one of Cup, Chase, or Jefferson if they're there. But then that would, for a hyper fragile build, I mean, we're definitely having, I would say, to use at least 2 of our next 3 picks on running backs after this round 1, if we go wide receiver in round 1.
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad that you're being a little less rigid with hyper fragile. Like I feel like in my mind, I've defined it as running back. Well, the way that you play it normally on the show is I feel like running back the first 3 rounds, but in my head, I think it's like 3 out of the first 5 is hyper fragile. And then you could put on 1 more.
So like I said, to me, I literally have no, I know like for in our video, like defining it, I think we have, the way we defined it was 3 early, but max 4. And for my purposes, hyper fragile is just stopping at 4. It's obviously going to be better for your win rates if you get those running backs earlier because the bets are going to hit more.
Derrick Henry at the 2, huh?
So who do you want to take McCaffrey here, or do you want to get our receiver and then like hammer running backs after that?
Let's take McCaffrey just because I don't have a lot of McCaffrey and we can get one running back out of the way.
Yeah, I think if we're doing hyper fragile and we're passing on McCaffrey here, I don't really know what we're doing.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Like, I don't mind Jefferson or Chase, obviously. I think especially if somebody goes and takes Henry in the 2 hole, like I'm happy to take either of those guys. But I feel like we're actually getting a good running back here that I have some degree of faith in and also a lack of exposure to. So that's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, McCaffrey was, I think I now have a couple stream drafts in the past week where I've gotten McCaffrey, where previously he was by far my least selected of the top 5 options. So happy to sprinkle some of him in.
And I think that Carolina Tampa Bay stack too, a little underappreciated for week 17. The correlation, of course, that again, Pete's beating the drum for me. And now I've internalized it enough after being scolded on the show so many times. Week 17 correlation. But the Carolina Tampa Bay one, I feel like maybe besides Cleveland, Washington, probably one of the more underused, week 17 correlation stacks.
Yeah, probably. I definitely have not heard anybody running out to do that stack.
It lines up pretty well, though. Like, I mean, I don't want to jinx it here, but Evans should be in the range where we are, whether he gets taken or not. Godwin should line up. I think Brady will line up okay with where we are too. So, like, it's not hard to get that Carolina Tampa Bay one if you're willing to take the leap of faith on McCaffrey.
Yeah, Tampa, man, I love Tampa Bay's playoff schedule too, and there's enough of them kind of sprinkled throughout the draft too that I guess where you would say Tampa's weak is late in the draft, right? Like after Gronk comes off the board, I mean, then you're in what? Because you have like Rashad White and then Gronk, but then who's your like sleeper Bucks guy you take? Scotty Miller, Ty
I haven't
Johnson,
taken a
Tyler Johnson?
single non-Godwin, non-Evans, non-Gage, non-Gronk receiver. I think maybe one Brait share because he's available in the 18th if you don't take Gronk, but I don't have a lot of faith there. Like, I don't like Cyril Grayson. Could you talk yourself into? Probably not.
Yeah, I think for me, it's probably Tyler Johnson, who maybe he sees some snaps at the beginning of the season if Chris Godwin isn't playing. And then I think Scotty Miller is probably your kind of poor man's KJ Hamler, who could still potentially get loose in a game as a deep threat for a touchdown.
Yeah, I think Nick's saying in the chat, Vaughn. I feel like Keyshawn Vaughn I was getting a little bit, but that was pre-Rashad White. I think now I don't think I've seen Keyshawn Vaughn get drafted at all, and I probably am not drafting him very much, if at all.
Yeah, that's another tough one. Vaughn, I have a hard time stomaching, partly because I'm high on Rashad White, and partly because I think even if there was a Fournette injury, and even if Vaughn was ahead of Rashad White, that there still would be another back in there that would get touches.
Daniel raising an interesting question in the chat. Does Brady really count as a late QB, though? I guess relative to overall ADPs, no. But like if he's after the first 5 rounds, like if he's in the QB ideal zone, the 6th through 13th
See,
round, like I think that counts.
this is though, I view it similar to the hyper fragile thing when it's not when you take it, it's that you're taking 3 total. Is I think more of the principle. And it's like, okay, sure, could we bend the rules and take Jalen Hurts and then take 3? But we would be drafting suboptimally in taking 3 in that build. So we want to make sure it's an optimal allocation, which is probably going to be after, round 11 or 12 when we take our first QB.
All right, we're on the clock here, and Mike Evans off the board, so we will not be getting that Tampa Bay stack now.
Uh,
Well,
let's do Lenny.
so okay, so let's
Or
take him. But I want to ask you though, like in DFS,
hang,
you're normally ruling out 2 running backs.
hang on real quick, but we're doing hyper fragile here. I'm just saying, do we like the running backs more when we come back if we want to do our wide receiver detour here?
Yeah, I would take Tyreek. I would take Tyreek.
Okay. That was just my thought because again, I think there's a clear tier break after Tyreek, AJ Brown, and Higgins. I don't think AJ Brown and Higgins would have made it back.
Mm.
Whereas I'm pretty sure one of Chubb, Williams, Barkley, Connor is going to be there for us.
You see, the chat kind of tilted. We didn't take Lenny. Like, I just know because we talked a lot about. I know, Pete, your videos talked a lot about Week 17 being just a 500-person DFS tournament or 470, whatever. But ultimately, like, you don't want to play 2 running backs together for the most part. Like, they can get there, but it's not like an optimal correlation. And I guess you might feel differently in best ball given how I've seen you draft.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's not the core. I get far less excited about a Lenny CMC correlation than I do say a Kamara, AJ Brown, a running back wide receiver, just because of, like you said, the way game flows typically go. Obviously, those guys that catch a ton of passes, the thesis of the play could still check out. But I'm kind of neutral on that, where it's like I don't necessarily have to go out of my way to get that.
Yeah, I just, they pull away from each other. And I feel like if we're going to apply the DFS principles that we know and hope that helps us bubble above the tide in these best ball tournaments, then 2 running backs from the same team, usually not the way you'd want to go, though obviously can work out. Your pal, Jack Settleman in the chat saying, talk to me about that tier break. Higgins is wide receiver 2 with Burrow, Herbert with Allen and Williams. Pete, take the VIP question. Talk about
it. Jack actually used to be a VIP on this channel, but I think it might have his credit card. He went busto buying chicken tenders because I don't see the VIP badge by him anymore. So we are going to get one of Javonte or Saquon here. We get our choice. I mean, Javonte or Saquon. I'm good.
I would take
either.
Javonte here.
That's nice.
That is nice.
So someone actually commented this on one of our ship chasing videos too, where they're like, why are you taking T Higgins? He's a number 2. I generally find those distinctions to be completely arbitrary. especially in the context of how this tournament works. And everyone is sick of us saying, well, what if he's the guy you need? But honestly, Higgins and Chase were the perfect example of this last year, where, Chase had the massive week 17 game. Higgins had the massive week 16 game, I believe it was. Maybe it was week 15. One of those weeks, he had the massive game too. And I would much rather have the quote unquote number 2 on one of the more prolific pass catching offenses that has also shown the upside to put up 40 plus points. And so to me, that's when I'm thinking of tier breaks, I'm trying to think of like, who are these guys that could quote unquote break the slate? We've already seen T Higgins do it. We already seen this offense do it. And so Higgins is part of that, that last bit of guys who I think can do that at the 2-3 turn.
And I would say too, for really the week 17 correlation stuff, like I'm just correlating or trying to get to the games, especially that I think are going to have over a 50-point implied total for that week. And, Cincinnati Buffalo is one of those games. And, Buffalo certainly, if you want to go the next level beyond that, Tre'Davious White probably going to be on Jamar Chase, certainly going to be a competent cover corner as he has been, assuming he comes back normally from injury. But, that's sort of where the DFS part comes in, is like, I just want a part of that 50, probably 54-point over under, I'd say right now is what I would think a Cincinnati Buffalo game with something on the line would be. Like, you just want a part of that. So I think that's why I'm comfortable taking Higgins if you don't get Chase or you do get Chase.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think like I don't think that's bad to try to target the games that we think will have high team totals in points, but I just think there's probably going to be a lot more variance there. And it kind of goes back to, you mentioned like the Cleveland Washington, where it's like, and I probably should have even driven that home more in my video, this idea of, we're probably going to be pretty bad at predicting which of these games actually shoot out week 17, where we know we just want correlation, period, wherever we get it. So I do think the Bengals and Bills is such a fascinating use case, because at first blush, it looks like this awesome game. But then you start to think in the cold in Cincinnati, week 17, Buffalo Bills defense being pretty good. Like there's versions of that game that are 20-17 for sure. But the market is definitely very excited about that game for week 17.
Yep, I think that's fair. And also, I didn't reply earlier. Somebody saying that they were bummed they missed this draft. Make sure you come by tomorrow, because there's going to be less people competing to be on one of my streams solo. So please come hang with us on the Splash Play channel. And of course, subscribe. And there you go, Pete. You've shamed Jack into putting his new credit card on the channel.
This is how we do it. This is how I win. Individually shame each one of you who are channel VIPs.
Corey Volk saying, over-owned, I'm hammering Jags Texans. I don't see anything wrong with that either. Like, I think it's what Pete just said. Like, any of those week 17 correlations, go for it. But, I think you want to try to pinpoint a little more towards the ones like, the Rams, Chargers, the like we talked about, Cincinnati, Buffalo, like, Denver, KC. Like, those are the ones I think that stand out the most.
Jay Brooks says, Best Ball Daddy, I don't know if you're talking to me or Spags. You're talking to me since you invested into Underdog. Can you please tell them to put an option for sound notifications? Spank you. Lots of undertones in this $4.99 chat, Jay Brooks. Yeah, they do have my phone will vibrate. I get the shaking thing when my thing is, but you want like a bonk, bonk, bonk kind of notification or something like that?
The horny dog comes out to play. You also, Pete, you get it on your Apple Watch when your time's up, which has been helpful for me.
We're on the clock here. Okay. I think we take my dude Breece Hall here.
I am comfortable with it. Yeah, I mean, Sutton would be a guy I could advocate for, but I think let's get running back done. Or Kittle, though, elite tight end.
You're right. All right, we can do Kittle. That wasn't part of our prompt. I will say the only bummer about doing that is I don't think now, if we missed out on Breece Hall, I don't think I'm comfortable with just a 3 QB or 3 running back build. So I think we're definitely into 4. I do like the options that are available right now for these running. So we got Breece Hall, David Montgomery, ETN, and Dobbins all available. I still think we probably get to 4 running backs. We grab one here at 5-4, and then probably one more in either the 6th or 7th round.
Okay. 6th or 7th, really. I would wait till after the 8th.
So, I mean, for 4, I guess it depends. It depends where the pockets of the draft are lining up. But
I've been informed by one of my sources who I shout too much out for information that generally there's a pretty big drop off for that fourth running back coming after or coming before round 8 or coming after. So that's why I would push towards after 8 and just take one of the the guys that we didn't take's backup would be my thought.
Hang on, how this pick goes is going to determine
Okay.
how I feel about this a little bit.
I mean, if we didn't take Brees and Brees fell, I'm pretty happy with all these options. Wow.
I'm
Okay.
stoked. Good call on Kittle. I was ready to pull the trigger on Brees there. Like now I'm much more comfortable, I think, waiting on that fourth running back.
Yeah. Look, I'm prioritizing elite tight end. Like if I can get him anywhere within that, relatively decent ADP range, like, I just want to get those guys in. So I know I'll have that shot, and I think there's been enough data where I feel like all the data sets, Pete, that we've talked about, all the various builds, like they all very much seem to support having that one elite tight end and hoping they bubble up.
Chris, tell FF Doom that I'm not drafting these running backs with my own free will, that they have been dictated by a wheel.
That's your FF Doom. He did in fact rig a wheel before this to make to give us a preamble to make it look like it was completely random. We're drafting all these running backs.
Let's see here. Short gamer, you were in the shame zone with Jack and became a member as well. Thank you.
It's funny too because there are a lot of great guys in chat. Like I don't want to name the names right now to shame them because I think they do such a helpful job making this feel like a thriving community. But there are some names here who are regulars enough, Pete, that I'm confused by them not having avatars.
You know what? I think everyone's kind of saving their money to kind of throw dollar bills at you on your stream. You're going to be kind of more like the stripper where they, put more bikinis up on screen. Spags, here's $1. Here's $1.
So Bullock saying, we get it, Spags are shaming me. To be clear, I'm not just shaming you. There's a couple others, but Bullock has DM'd me on Discord and I assumed he must have been in the community. So because your thing connects with the ship chasing one, right?
No, they are separate. They are separate.
Okay, that might be why. That might be why. Okay.
Yes.
Discord confuses and scares me as somebody over the age of 35.
That would be if there is some sentient being behind those sex bots. Like if you want to just do the best bit of all time and have your sex bot become a member of the channel,
I would look. I think naked Tinder, no whores, whatever, has been a longtime fan of Splash Play from what I've seen.
Look, I explained this on, I think it was Best Ball Breakfast, maybe it was Splash Play. Guys, I get in these drafts with you and you draft all the wide receivers. My Underdog Cardio Club draft I posted from Wednesday was a 0 RB draft. When I'm not drafting with you guys, I can actually execute 0 RB in a way I enjoy.
Look, if you want to watch a 0 RB draft, tune in tomorrow at 2:30 because I can guarantee you no running backs might be taken in the first 8 rounds of that draft.
Spags needs a strip pole for the solo show so he can get the full experience of throwing one. Spags with his white claw spinning around a strip pole. I can totally imagine it now.
Nana Pete would be tuning in then to see that sweet derriere twirling about.
Yeah. Man, I might need to go get a seltzer and then hope that all the seltzers I have stocked in my fridge are magically gone so I can pour a vodka soda. Whoopsie.
And then if that's out, you gotta like what's strong? I guess like an absinthe. And if that's out, then straight heroin, baby.
Oh my goodness.
I was thinking too, because we didn't do the offseason episode draft because basically, I know we talk a little bit about the show meta on this and what we try to do behind the scenes. We're going to do the same thing we did last year where we just do random shit all summer long to fill it. People like best ball drafts enough. We don't have to do that. I think we should do a segment draft before the season starts where we're drafting, the Italian guys, we're drafting Anna Pete, we're drafting some new ones. Like let's get a little bit weird with it.
Well, I think what we could do is we could have Nana Pete do an entire puppy draft with Spags. We could have Spags, Ben DiNucci character, Mafia do a draft with me. We could bring some special guests on in that sense.
The expected value for 0 RB is so high, it's like mama's pasta fazool. You just want to get a little bit of a taste.
There you go.
And
then we build up to a finale where Spags' Italian character and Nana Pete draft a puppy team together.
Honestly, would be a pretty funny bit. You could sell at the Fantasy Football Expo with that one if only some people were available.
Goodness. Yeah. Fantasy Football Expo, not necessarily kicking down our door for content. All right. So I assume we want to do a wide receiver here.
Yeah. I feel like Either of them would be fine by me up top.
Yeah, I love how you say that, and yet deep down you're just USC, USC.
They're two guys who've lost their luster for me with the NFL draft moves, personally.
Um, you know what? Screw it. I want Devonta Smith. Did I get it in time?
Yep.
You nimble fingers.
Yeah, I actually took a few shares of Devonta recently in the puppy. I think I'm up to 45 entries in the puppy now. And I took him because I have so much AJ Brown that I just kind of had to take one. But I do not believe in Devonta Smith. And you can clip this one and rub it in my face when inevitably he goes for 1,000 yards this year.
I think that's pretty disgusting, Spags, that you don't believe in Devonta Smith anymore.
I just think there's AJ Brown's a pretty big weapon. Dallas Goedert's a pretty big weapon. Miles Sanders should be a little bit better, I think. I don't know.
A rising tide lifts all boats in this situation, Spags. The offense is going to be better. Hurts is going to throw more. AJ Brown's going to draw less attention or draw attention away from those guys. I do agree with you for like a managed league. I don't know if Devonta Smith is as fun of a pick for me, just because like the pure like massive breakout seems far less likely now. But I think he's going to have some massive weeks.
Yeah, I also think, I mean, I don't want to jinx it here, but I feel like Amon-Ra might come back because if people are really, Eric in the chat saying, I almost have 0 Amon-Ra and I love it. Like, people do not like Amon-Ra, even though he is still a very logical check down receiver target that's going to benefit from having more weapons there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I like Devonta Smith's profile and skill set a little bit more than Amon-Ra's, where I feel like Amon-Ra is more volume dependent in a way that Devonta Smith, I think, can earn more targets. I just think he's probably a little bit more of a talented wide receiver. I don't know. Maybe that's a bad take. Amon-Ra was awesome down the stretch, but a lot of competition, and he is, of course, available. So this debate is why not just get both?
Yeah, Silas Jackson in the chat, another sharp guy saying, I heart Amon-Ra. So look, I think at least somebody there who I think is smart believes in him, I guess besides me. But yeah, like I think if he's available that cheap, like the issue is that people were treating him like the last 6 games of last season where he was, I think, the only behind Cooper Kupp during that stretch. Like he's not going to be there, but he could still be good.
Yeah. The real goal is figuring out who's this year's Amon-Ra that we can get in the 16th, 17th, 18th round. That's the real riddle to crack.
I mean, who fits that criteria? Like, are we talking specifically that archetype of receiver?
Well, I guess that specific archetype would be rookie wide receiver in a quote unquote bad situation that people aren't as collectively high on his profile relative to other ones. I would say like a Tyquan Thornton would be that similar build, maybe a Mechie. I think those guys, maybe you could stretch George Pickens into that cohort, although he's a little pricier than those guys.
Yeah, Jalen Tolbert, too lofty for that?
I guess Tolbert and Pickens are going around that same range.
Yeah, like Tolbert's like 145-ish, somewhere in there.
They want me to say Dubs. They want me to say Justin Ross, Velus Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, Velus Jones, and this is not, a perfect analogy, but Velus Jones to me feels a lot like Mike Davis, where like if I let myself start spinning out, I'm like, well, they have to give him the touches. Like they put his locker next to Justin Fields. He's the rookie. He's coming in. Like he could be terrible because of the, but the situation on paper looks pretty good for him to come in, and he just has to beat out Byron Pringle, and he'll be getting a ton of snaps.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, they just mentioned. Well,
David Bell's a good one.
David Bell is a good one. I was just thinking through these like teammate twins, Nico Collins, obviously a sophomore, but Nico and Mechie, Pringle and Velus, like I don't have supreme confidence on either side of those. And those are like situations where I'm just happy to kind of split, but I do want stabs at all four of those guys.
Ross saying Mike Davis was a 5th round pick. Did he get that high? I didn't take him that high. Oh God. Okay.
Mike Davis opened, and I'm pretty sure, I think he did start slipping to like the mid to late 6th by the end of the season. But yeah, he opened up, him and Myles Gaskin opened up the season as 5th round picks. I had some early Myles Gaskin shares that I regretted.
People also shouting out Wandale or it's Wandale, right? It's not Wandale. It's Wandale because you said that as a bit.
No, so Chris G calls Rondell Moore Rondale, and so then we started calling Wandale, and now just in our heads we say Wandale and Rondale.
I don't think he gets the volume. He's too small to run a bunch of routes, but I think the consiglieres, Jahan Dotson, kind of sneaky because nobody wants to draft Jahan Dotson. I think we can all agree, probably overdrafted in terms of actual NFL draft capital, but Carson Wentz loves a good check down, man, and he's probably going to be that.
I actually like that one a lot. I think Dotson's probably a pretty good candidate for that. Okay. What do you want to do here? I do think this could be the range we take our fourth running back and are done.
Yeah, we don't have any QB correlations, right? Yeah, I could take a running. I could honestly, any of these running backs would work for me.
You want to do? I grabbed Walker the other day. Walker or Harris? Walker or Harris? Who do you like?
I would go Walker over Harris.
Yeah. All right, we're done with running backs.
All right. It makes sense to get Walker too, because like the young guy, like he could theoretically bubble up, but we don't necessarily need him to.
Yeah, I mean, I do like obviously with the hyper fragile builds where you're only taking 4, just taking a really, really big cut, with that fourth running back. We'd obviously never grab, a pass catching running back. You want someone who, if things, break right, can be putting up 20 plus points a game. And as much as we're all down on the Seahawks offense, there is the kind of the black box nature of Kenneth Walker. And I think, definitely some upside there.
Oh yeah, Matt in the chat too pointing out that it's a Walker Brees week 17 double RB correlation. That is true, but the ADPs were low enough where I guess it's not as much of a deciding factor compared to like Lenny Fournette and McCaffrey.
We were more talking about it if you'd go to that as a case for positive correlation, but yeah. I don't think there's negative correlation there in a way that you would avoid it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Let's see here. Yeah.
We could go QB.
Because we're going 3 quarterbacks late, we could also, Goddard, if Goddard falls here, we already have Devonta Smith. We'd be done at tight end, and then we'd exclusively be quarterbacks and wide receivers the rest of the way. Or do you have a wide receiver you like here? I also don't mind MVS.
Yeah, there's no week 17 correlations, so I would take Goddard.
Well, we have Denver and MVS.
Oh, yeah. Let's take MVS.
Yeah, let's do MVS. I think we took Kittle early, so I think that bought us a little bit more time where we can still go 2 tight ends if we want.
I think we're locking ourselves into 2 of our late QBs, I feel like, with this build we have right now.
Please don't say quarterbacks and locking ourselves in. I don't like
well, of all the guys, we're not. It is not a lock today. Maybe tomorrow it will be, but no DK Metcalf, no Tyler Lockett, no Drew Lock for me when I don't have my Drew Lock numbers are down, man. Yeah, like I don't know the exact. I'll reveal it on tomorrow's stream if you want to see it. But I'm down a lot on Drew Lock. I'm at a healthy, normal human number.
What time did you schedule the stream for tomorrow?
2:30. So basically, just keeping the same time. So it's like we were doing Monday, Thursday, Friday. We'll do. There's a consumer logic there, Pete. That's where I'm gonna be.
I'm gonna be hopping in the car right around then. I'd say maybe I'd throw the stream up on my drive, but that's going to end up with me swerving off the side of the road after I hear you say something distasteful.
I think Lauren would like to watch and support.
Lauren's not going to be with me in the car.
Oh, damn. Well, then there's even less reason to not have it on in the car. Support your old pal Spags. Chime in the No Pizza Loud Club on Fridays.
Yeah.
Actually, I put your Twitter link in the description for the episode tomorrow too.
Oh, that's so sweet of you.
But I put it in a way, Pete, that I think you're really going to like. You know what you're classified as?
Oh, God. I can't believe I'm falling for this engagement bait right now.
Can we put it on the screen? What are you looking up to?
What am I saying? And Pete, I guess he's more of an entertainer than a data guy. Thank you, Spags. Look at that. I love that. Look, Spags even sneaks his Instagram handle in here. I mean, this is just disgusting.
People might want some baby pics, I don't know. If you want baby pics, go to Instagram. You want occasional tweets about Dalmatians related to the NFL schedule, go to my Twitter.
Yeah, we never kind of got a postmortem on that tweet from you on the show. I mean, that was pretty big for your Twitter engagement.
So Pete and I talked about it. It actually did do pretty well, and then I got engagement from people who normally don't engage with me afterwards because I think of the volatility or the whatever, the speed, velocity of the engagement that we got because of doing it on the show. So yeah, I was getting verified accounts replying to me, and I texted Pete about it. I'm not going to shout anybody out here, but some replies I think that I don't normally land on their feed that I think I got on their feed because of that.
Yeah, at this point, I am surprised Spags didn't sneak his Venmo link in there while he was at it.
$1 to Chris Spags on Venmo if you want to tip me.
That actually reminds me. Huge revelation for people who watched Best Ball Breakfast on Tuesday. I was giving Casey a hard time about sending me a Venmo request. And Casey, you guys remember, he was the one who took me up on the Drew Lock bounty on Splash Play a month or so ago when I said whoever drafts him gets 25. I got a request from someone that I assumed was Casey. I accepted that $25 request, even had similar initials. So then I get a request at 5 a.m. over the weekend for $50 from Casey. I talked about this on my Tuesday stream. And then Casey sends me a message. He's like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. If I sent that, like that was an accident. So I sent him a screenshot. I was like, here's your request. Casey goes, that wasn't me. And then I go, that was who I sent the $25 to for the Drew Lock. And Casey goes, I never requested that. And I was like, I got the request, assumed it was you because it came right after the show. So I got fucking catfished by a Casey rent seeker. Can you believe this? There's people out there stolen valor on Splash Play bounties.
That is pretty. We are on the clock here. Also, some troubling news matriculating through the chat right now, but let's make our pick here. We sure we don't want to take a QB now that we're not late enough?
I think we should, for the sake of this video, we should push it a little further.
Oh boy. I guess Tim Patrick.
Get some more Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say if one of these, now that we're in, I would say for round 11, we can lift the QB ban.
So the news that came through, Pete, that Silas posted in the chat, I'm getting tweeted from $1 million Best Ball Mania winner Liam Murphy saying, Chris Spags, reports Seattle would sign Mayfield if he were cut, according to NBC Sports Edge. Look, we'd all sign somebody if they were cut. Like, it's all about the contract coming in. Maybe you bring in Baker Mayfield, Drew Lock, slays him like a dragon, takes over that winning spot. You get even more confidence in him. There's a lot of ways this could work out. I'm not going to panic yet.
See, it's nice that Spags has his own LaVisca now, where there is no such thing as good Drew Lock news. It is only news. It is only him sliding further and further down the depth chart. He is now QB3 behind hypothetical Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith, and probably Chris Carson, who gets converted to quarterback as well.
It's just him and his fucking graham cracker spine out there playing QB.
These together. Bots are out of control today. Guys, save it for Spags' stream tomorrow.
I like the one with the drip emoji because at least that's Splash Play.
Yes, they are. They are on brand. Thank you for that. Stop being cowards and become VIPs, sex bots.
I bet that website's not good. I'll go on that limb.
Okay. I think we have to take Aaron Rodgers at pick fucking 124.
I wanted to take him the last few rounds, so yeah, you could take him.
I mean, come on.
Cheap. Willis asked, cheaper than Tinder. That costs money now too. To upgrade. From what I remember from my waning single days back, way back when, before the pandemic, paying for Tinder Gold, you guys got to do at this point. You got to pay to play, just like Twitter engagement. You got to pay to play.
What is Spags? Before I really got to know you, you had like a Patreon podcast, right? That you would do for members. What did that have to do with Tinder?
So that was not I would do a Tinder roundup. My thing at Barstool was I would round up like funny slash methodology approved screenshots of Tinder girls that people would submit in. And it was like one of the most popular things on Barstool my like last 3 years there, I guess, where it was getting like 250,000 page views a week. Like it was like a crazy thing that I was trying to figure out how to monetize. And then when I left Barstool, I'm like, shit, I need to fucking figure this out. But didn't do it immediately. I waited after taking the summer off and then did it. So like I ended up with 10,000 email subs or something. But I just like, if I'd done it the second I left, I probably would have had I would have had Pete Overzet solo, content creator money.
I think, wow. Aim higher, Spags.
But no, like, yeah, it was the Tinder roundup was like a very popular thing. Like there are people of note in media who used to hit me up and be like, "Oh my god, that's my favorite thing. I'm married." But like, yeah, people were very into the Tinder screenshot thing way back when.
Way there it is. Behind the actor's studio, the bonk origin story for
This
Chris
is also my
Spags.
5-year anniversary this week, Pete, of the Rihanna situation. So it's a lot of things kind of rolling in.
Wow.
Yeah.
For some reason, if you would have asked me, for some reason, I think I would have guessed like that was 7 or 8 years ago, 5 years ago, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly feels like that, like it's been a longer period of time. But yeah, this is a 5-year anniversary, and I quietly let it go by. I'm sure I could have tried to like you hit up Dave and go like, "Hey, let's do a fucking pot." I don't need it. I don't need it at this point. I'm comfortable with the community we're building. I don't need to go bringing in some acid.
Yeah. You're now reformed. You've been to rehab and now you tweet out gifs of Dalmatians instead of celebrities commenting on their weight.
That's true. What a return for me.
No, guys, come on. Do your Spags research on your own time. Have a fun night. Get stoned. Start Googling Spags, Barstool, Rihanna. Enjoy it. Get out of here.
It's a ruinous thing that was not reported correctly, and it's not my favorite thing in the world. But hey, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow because tomorrow I'll be having some IPAs, not these Diet Coke style White Claws.
I'm actually surprised. I thought that was just deeply embedded within Chris Spags lore. These guys are still so new to the Spags verse.
Yeah, look, I mean, people don't realize that I was the main character on Twitter for a day, and it was incredibly traumatic in a way that really, really changed the course of my life.
No, you guys go read up on it, and then you can ask Spags follow-up questions later.
Also, Matt joined VIP 15 minutes ago too. I don't think I saw that notification, but Pete, we're really converting some sales today for some reason.
That's right. Well, I think shame is just really a powerful thing. I've always had a hard time knowing how do I market the VIP stuff. We have some fun private channels in the Discord. You get the badges, you get merch discount, all this stuff. But ultimately, the best marketing tactic is just shame. I think it's just shame.
Yeah, I agree. Look, the shaming is a powerful tool. Actually, one of the YouTube optimization videos I was watching yesterday was like a guy. I would give him a shout out too. Channel maker, if you are a person out there who wants to do what Pete does, and try to build your own channel, go check that Channel Maker channel out. But he was talking about like one of the biggest revenue streams is just soliciting people for money, like whether it be through the chat thing or through like Venmo. And like apparently that's one of his biggest income drivers, which I thought was interesting.
Dude, Tua, right? With Tyreek?
Yep. Yeah, it's easy.
I'm just making sure we're not missing anything glaringly obvious, but that seems pretty nice.
Yeah, and I think we got a couple outs for our third late QB. So this build ended up better. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of drafting all these running backs early, Pete, but I think our wide receivers could be better, as somebody pointed out from Denny Carter, that perhaps that meme might be applicable here.
So here's the thing, right? So we're gonna get to 3 quarterbacks as dictated by the wheel. We're done with 4 running backs, so that puts us up to 7. We're gonna try to stay at 2 tight ends, which would get us to 9, which means we can get to 9 receivers. So we can still draft 4 more receivers here. We're 4 more receivers, 1 more tight end, 1 more quarterback.
Short Gamer asking a good question here. If Baker signs with the Hawks, what would his ADP be? It's actually an interesting one. I think it would still be like the 15th. Like he's in the Carson Wentzy range, maybe a little bit better than that.
Let's see. Yeah, we were talking about this a little on Ship Chasing last night and how big of a projection jump it would be for the Seahawks receivers if Baker signed. I think it would be much better news for DK and Lockett than it would be for Baker's ADP specifically. But yeah, I don't know. He's probably like in the Zach Wilson range. That feels about right to me.
I think a little bit lower. People love Zach Wilson. Also, we're on the clock, but people love Zach Wilson, and I don't think he would go quite that high, but I think that's probably close to the range.
Let's see here. Do we want to do our Jahan Dotson?
Or you want to go Chark because we can get our other late QB potentially.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, just feel like wanting to get the double stacks. I feel like might have been you talking about it. Somebody was talking about double stacks recently that I was reading. I've been consuming way too much best ball content as the main takeaway. But double stacks, I feel like had a much higher advance rate than the skinny stacks.
It is. Would you say in general, do you have an addictive personality, or would you say you've just truly fallen in love with best ball?
I've fallen in love with best ball, but it's scratching an itch that I normally would have for DFS that I don't like. But I also I like new knowledge accumulation. Like I like getting good at something. Like part of the issue with me with playing DFS after I had the big wins in NBA was like, I didn't want to keep doing it because I knew I was now like going to just decrease my EV most likely over the course of time. So like best ball to me is like there's still upside on the expected value.
Yeah. And as Alex says, there's almost like, think about it this way, just psychologically, right? And I think I even was talking about this on Lulz, where it's like at a DFS slate, you're going to get your teeth kicked in slate after slate after slate.
Mm-hmm.
And even if your expected ROI in best ball is similar to that in DFS, at least psychologically, there's hope. You're not getting, you draft one of these teams and it's still the most idealized version of what you want for literally months until the season starts. And even then it can still stretch on. So I think just psychologically, best ball is such a funner experience than losing every day in DFS.
I mean, I will say candidly, like, and I know Brick has talked about this where I think you mentioned on Lulz a couple, maybe a month ago now, where he had one of the big wins and he was like, yeah, I might still be in the bread on the year overall. And I know Bro, another sharp guy, Peter Viles, has talked about that too, that it's like it's hard to play NBA night after night. For me, like, because I haven't played the last 2 months, like I can enter all these tournaments, I guess, besides maybe the big dog and max them out. And I will have spent less than like if I had just gotten hammered at NBA over the course of that like 2 month span. Because that's just how NBA goes. Like it's hard, man. Like if you go after it hard every night, you're spending like 4 to 8 hours a night to lose your money, which is like the worst experience possible. At least this is kind of like a video game to me.
Yeah. And just like you said, the entertainment equity of it too is you get so much more entertainment out of it. It's obviously less immediate gratification, but there is something, that slow drip of, checking your exposures. And now we even have tools where we can check our structural exposures in addition to our player exposures. And then you have the midpoint check-ins throughout the season to see how the teams are doing. It's a good bang for your buck. I will say that.
So here's the question I have for you, Pete. Is it still going to be illegal to talk about your best ball teams now that the best ball community is starting to rise more and people might actually have an interest in following along with you over the course of a season?
No, it'll still definitely be illegal. The thing is though, lots of technologies are emerging to help people evade the law. Whether people are in witness protection programs, all kinds of stuff that I would never condone, but there are in 2022 kind of ways around the best ball police.
Also, if you're watching live or after the fact and you've either had some fun or learned something here, make sure you hit the like button. It helps us out a bunch, whether you're on Pete's channel or the Splash Play channel. Of course, subscribe to both and subscribe to Pete's Deposit Kingdom channel as well. The short form videos, you can tell the amount of effort that Pete puts in there, tantamount to the effort he puts in here time and time again.
Yes. Yes. All that effort I do writing the newsletter only to have you just steal it for content.
Give me all that sweet news, Pete. Daddy ain't got no time to read things during the course of the day. You really have cornered that market pretty well, though. I will that's why I don't mind giving the plugs. Like plugs for things that are good is always a positive thing.
All right, let's talk through this decision here. I will say, because we have Rodgers and Tua, who, if we weren't dictated by the wheel to get 3, I would be plenty comfortable just rocking these 2. I think we can like push quarterback super late. Like even if we want to get like a rookie backup quarterback as our 3rd, I think we can. So I'd still focus on wide receiver or tight end here. Pickens I like a lot. Anything else jumping out to you?
Pickens, Palmer, or Hamler would all work for me.
Yeah, I'm looking at correlation stuff here.
Yeah, we already have Patrick, so it feels like it might be pushing it with Hamler, but like you could have talked me into it.
Yeah. I think we could add to our Seattle stuff and with the Jets with Noah Fant, or did he just go? No, he's still here. I do think we should probably grab one of these 3 tight ends here if we want to be done. Like Kittle with Hurst, Kittle with Ingram. I start to feel a little shakier, I guess, in a 2 tight end build. I think I would prefer one of these guys.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. I'm comfortable with taking any of them. Everett's ADP is starting to steam up since we talked about him a couple weeks ago. I feel like he's up to 170, and he's in a range where he was like basically in Hooper territory for a while.
Yeah, I do think he's been one of the kind of more mispriced guys on here. I guess I don't really know why Gerald Everett shouldn't be going, in the same range as Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry, Njoku. Like he seems very much like he should be part of that cohort.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think people might still think that Jared Cook is on the team, which he's not currently. He's not on any team currently, and that could be part of it. Maybe
As
Parham
our
too.
guy Ivan here, Gerald Everett's ears burning. As he triple taps tight end.
That has to be Ivan's first tight ends, right? He didn't have one before that.
If he did, I would riot.
Yeah, it's like Ivan's too sharp to have done that. I like Ivan's team. I feel like I've been quietly eyeing him. I think he did a good job out of the one hole.
Wow, you liking a team with early running backs drafted? Who are you, Spags? I thought you were a 0 RB pro.
I actually have grown to like the back-to-backs if you get either Taylor or Cup or whatever in the 101. Because like you really can, like you don't have to worry about ADP as much. And I don't have to self ADP shame for taking guys that like you just know won't be there the next time you come around.
I do. So those tight ends went off the board. I think Fant definitely makes sense for us here.
I'm okay with it. Yeah, look, with Baker Mayfield in tow, how could he go wrong?
God, these bots, where do you keep coming from?
Splash. It's a splash. I love splash play is what those emojis said.
All right. So we're done at quarterback. We're done at running back. We're done at tight end. And
we're not done at quarterback. We had to take 3.
Oh, you're right. You're right. So 2 more wide receivers, 1 more quarterback.
Yep. I think I know who I would like our quarterback to be.
Did you make a Baker Mayfield clip?
I did not make a. What would? I mean, honestly, I feel like that would be so much work. What? Someone changed their account for the bit?
Yes.
Very funny.
It is very good.
But now they have to sign up or tip $100.
I really hope, how these are connected, to your Gmail address. I really hope someone did this on like their personal account. They get an email. Their boss sends them an email. It is HDC women cheaper than Tinder.
And then it's like I think you should leave bit. They're just chasing him down.
Yeah.
If you're horny.
Oh
man, pick Baker last. I will not support Baker being picked in the last pick. Baker Mayfield shouldn't be getting drafted right now. I'll say that. When he's signed, you want to draft him fine. Right now, you're making a fool's errand.
There's no way we're taking Drew Lock.
I mean, we do have a nice little stack with him. Nice little skinny stack. Could even get D. Eskridge if you want for the late spin.
So stack options we have. We could do a backdoor stack with Mac Jones, with Tyquan Thornton, Jared Goff to pair with DJ Chark. We could do a backdoor with Davis Mills and one of those pass catchers we were talking about earlier. We could do Matt Corral as kind of a play on if he beats out Sam Darnold. We already have McCaffrey. We could tack on another Carolina guy. So we have lots of options here.
Also, I don't think so you said we would be stacking Goff with Chark. We would stacking Goff with Amon-Ra and Chark. So that's why.
Chark. Okay. Yeah.
It's got to be Goff. Yeah.
Goff makes the most sense, but I'm not going to go crying if we miss out on Goff.
I'm going to go crying if we miss out on Goff. Losers win again, asking, what are your guys' thoughts on Julio Jones? My thoughts would be probably not take him right now. Like, I feel like that's an Antonio Brown thing where would it shock you if he doesn't actually land anywhere?
Who?
Julio Jones?
No, he's going to play somewhere.
What if he doesn't want to take the minimum? Like, what if he's one of those guys where it's like, oh, I'm not playing for less than 10 mil. Like, I'm not paying Julio Jones 10 mil.
I mean, I don't want to go on record and say there's a 0% chance, but I would say it's, I don't know, 95% chance he signs somewhere.
Wow. I think it's under. I would think it's 50-50, maybe under.
So what? Then let's make a bet.
I would be most comfortable at 50-50, like if we're doing, but I think there's, I mean, what are we saying, like the entire season, like, or by week 1?
No, yeah, that he's on a roster by week 1.
I think there's a chance. I mean, maybe he gets signed and I think there's enough. I would take that bet. I'd take $100 bet on Julio playing.
You mean on not playing, right?
Yeah, like Julio not playing, not being on a roster week 1 or not being active week 1.
Okay, I'll take that deal.
Okay, done. See, mine is just like I'm like tickling your nipples. I don't know.
Bonk. This is my own personal bonk here. Bad bet, bonk.
Look at these
Bad bet, bonk.
These sweet pecs. We're on the clock. Jared Goff, just get it out of the way.
All right, we did it. We did our 3 QB build. for the wheel.
The wheel was fairly kind to us, I feel, given the scenario.
It was.
Like, this team isn't, this team's not a world beater or anything, but how much do you care about the projections afterwards, by the way?
0.
Like, do you even look at them? Do you like just, because sometimes I get ones
occasionally, that are like, I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't like, occasionally my eye will catch it. But I honestly, it's similar to like the Yahoo draft grades, right? Where it's kind of fun to see them there, but they're completely meaningless.
Bullock asking Goff over Lock, what happened to my sweet, sweet boy Spags? First of all, I don't want to argue with Pete where, it's our last Thursday show. Pete's going on trip. It keeps some positive vibes. Second of all, we have the double stack. Like, if we have the double stack, I'm going to take that guy.
So
we should take Velas late or Pringle for the.
Well, I think we need to get at least one stack with Rodgers. So I think we should take Dubs.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
I meant to ask Willis, have you been keeping track of these, Willis, for us? I'm trying to think in my notes if I had written down the other ones or not. Let me know, Willis, if I need to be writing these down or if you're fulfilling your duty as our accountant.
Wait, what do you need to be writing down?
Our bets.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot that our bets are.
There are consequences to the shitty bets you make, Spags. We come a knocking.
I thought you meant the drafts. I'm like, what does he have to track about the drafts? They're right there. He's making Willis do work to earn his pay.
No, Willis is the accountant. He also has a very good memory for these things too. So,
Mathology saying points bet. So, first of all, Mathology not bringing titties to the stream for once. So that's a rare treat. But second of all, saying points bet has the 49ers as favorites to land Jones, followed by Colts and Chargers and Ravens. Chargers, I could see, like, Mike Williams gets hurt in July, Julio Jones comes in, or Keenan Allen even. Like, that makes sense to me. But the Niners, I don't think makes any sense.
I agree with you on paper. That might just be one. I feel like I've heard, maybe it was a quote from Julio or something saying that he would like to play there. So that's probably dictating that.
Yeah, pre-Russell Gage, I feel like the Bucks were coming up a lot for him. And the Colts, I think, have been there because of the Matt Ryan thing.
Spag, just FYI, I do have a meeting in a minute, so we're going to have to land the plane quickly here.
All right, so make sure you follow at Peter Overzet, follow at Chris Spags, and also subscribe to the Splash Play channel because tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern, I'm going live solo. It's going to be a wild card stream. I'll be drinking some IPAs, having a good time on here, hopefully drafting with you guys, so come hang out on there. And Pete, you're done for the weekend, so you don't have anything to plug.
No, just my drive. Tomorrow, very exciting stuff. So looking at this last pick, obviously, I think we should be trying to get in some week 17 correlation. You mentioned Velas Jones. I think that's fine. I also think we could do Tyquan Thornton as our New England bring back in the Miami stack. Do you have a preference there?
I would take Velas.
All right, we'll do Velas.
Yeah, just because we have the double stack part with Denver, so maybe that shoots out somehow, some way.
Lucky for you, MJ. This is for the puppy. So this is the 75K winner. We'll leave the 2 million to someone else. But Spags.
All right. Yes. I appreciate you guys for being here. Come tune in tomorrow, 2:30. Go follow at Peter Overzet, follow at Chris Spags, follow at Splash Play Pod. We'll be back on Monday with Pete at 2:30 as well. So see you guys then. Bye. If Pete quit.